Hello, girls and boys. Now, last week we talked about how Jesus healed people, right? He healed their bodies and then they could walk again, right? And like that is amazing in and of itself. But this week, Jesus is raising the bar. He's going to a whole new level. This week, we're talking about how two different times Jesus was able to bring someone back from death. That's crazy. And he did it twice. So, the first time we're going to talk about, Jesus is walking along, and there's a man named Jairus. Now, Jairus worked at the temple. He was a religious man. And he runs up to Jesus and he says, "My daughter is so sick. Would you please help her?" And Jesus says, "Of course." And so he begins to follow the man. Now, this is like the crazy part of the story. Jesus is following Jairus and there's a crowd around Jesus because everyone wants to be around Jesus. And while they're walking, there's a woman who had been sick for a long time. And this is like a whole another story. So we're not going to get super into the details, but basically this woman distracts Jesus. And that sounds mean because she had her own needs, right? But she distracts Jesus from going and following Jairus to help this little girl. And so Jesus spends time with this woman helping her. And by the time he's done with her, Jairus is probably like, "Come on, we gotta go. You have no idea how sick my daughter is." And so there was a delay, but then Jesus continues to follow Jairus. But by the time they get to Jairus' house, there is everyone who is at the house is crying and mourning and weeping. And why are they doing that? Because Jairus' little girl has died. His little girl has died. And how do you think Jairus was feeling? He was probably feeling so frustrated and hurt and angry because he was saying, "Jesus, God, why didn't you help me when you said you were? Why did you take that detour?" And Jesus says, "Please do not worry. She is only sleeping." And the people at the house began to like mock Jesus. They're like, "What is, she's not sleeping? This guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about." Well, guess what? Jesus goes into the room with the little girl and he says, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." And guess what happened? She got up. She got up and she was fully healed and completely healthy. That is an amazing story. That Jairus, he trusted Jesus enough to initially ask him, and then he doubted Jesus when Jesus didn't come right away. And then Jesus still came through for him. Now, in the second story, Jesus, we've heard of Mary and Martha. They were friends of Jesus. Jesus stayed at their house. Now, there was a man named Lazarus, and Lazarus was Mary's brother. And he was also very sick, and he was a friend of Jesus. And Mary was walking along and looking for Jesus because, again, Lazarus was very sick. And she came to Jesus and she said, "Jesus, Lazarus is going to die if you don't do something. We need your help. We need your help." And so Jesus, he was like, "I will help you, and I will get there when I can." And when he arrives, he tells his disciples, he's like, "Lazarus, he's going to die. He's not going to make it." And the disciples are confused and distraught and hurt, and they don't understand why Jesus wouldn't just hurry and try to get there as fast as he can. And by the time Jesus arrives, do you know what? Lazarus has already been buried. And this story sounds very familiar to the Easter story because he's buried in a tomb with a stone rolled in front of it. And it says that Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. 4 days already by the time Jesus gets there. But Jesus, he says, "Roll away the stone." And he says, "Lazarus, get up and walk," right? "Come to me." And guess who comes out of the tomb? Lazarus. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. And it's really amazing. Again, this is demonstrating the power that Jesus has, and the truth that Jesus is God. The truth that Jesus is God. And he's showing it through these displays of great, amazing power. But the other thing that's super interesting about the Lazarus story, do you know what's really interesting? Is that when Jesus finds out that Lazarus is dead, it's the shortest verse in the Bible. It's only 2 words long. When Jesus finds out that Lazarus is dead, the Bible says, Jesus wept. Jesus wept. And I think that can be comforting for us because we hear these stories of amazing, like, people being healed, people being brought back from the dead. But then sometimes we can think, what about the people in my life? Why are the people in my life sick? Or why do the people in my life die? Why doesn't God help them? Right? And there were a lot of people that Jesus didn't help. We hear the stories of the people he did, but there were lots of people he didn't help. But what we do know, when we hear that Jesus wept, is that God is with us when we feel sad. God feels sad too. We are not alone when life is hard and when things don't go the way we think they're supposed to. God feels that too. God feels it with us. So I hope that's encouraging for you. It is encouraging for me that when I am sad about something, God is sad with me. So that is some more amazing miracles. We'll continue on with miracles next week, but I hope you're doing well, and I will talk with you soon.